Welcome to the primetime news on MITV. I am Jumoke Michaels. In the news tonight, federal government summons vice chancellors, university councils over ASUU strike. Governor Akeredolu falls pipeline contract award to Tompolo. On the foreign scene, Russia shorts major gas pipeline to Europe. And in sports, Chelsea sign Wesley Fofana from Leicester for £70 million. Welcome again. In politics, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Iyorchia Ayu, has affirmed that he will not succumb to calls from some quarters for him to resign his position. Ayu stressed that such calls are coming from political amateurs who lack basic understanding of PDP principles. The former senator asserted that he was elected by Nigerians and members of the opposition party to that exalted position based on the party's guidelines. According to reports, after losing the PDP presidential primary to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike outlined conditions for remaining within the party. One of the reported conditions is that Ayu, who hails from Benue State, also in northern Nigeria, must resign, but in his response during an interview, Ayu stressed that he will not resign. The federal government has summoned vice-chancellors, pro-chancellors and chairmen of governing councils of federal universities to a meeting following the lingering strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. The September 6, 2022 meeting was convened in a letter by the National Universities Commission, NUC, as part of efforts to resolve the industrial dispute. NUC said the pro-chancellors and chairmen of councils, as well as the vice-chancellors, are quite aware that the industrial action by university-based unions has led to the closure of the institution since February 2022. It stated further that the non-teaching unions have suspended their industrial actions with effect from 24 August 2022, while a final decision is being awaited from the Academic Staff Union of Universities. NUC added that it has become necessary for the governing councils and the management of the universities to be briefed on the decisions and actions taken by the federal government so far to allow for a well-coordinated review of the situation, including building consensus around succeeding actions. Meanwhile, the National Association of Nigerian Students has urged state-owned universities to resume academic activities, describing the total and indefinite strike declared by the Academic Staff Union of Universities as unpatriotic and wicked. NAN's President Sunday Asefo stated this in a statement on Wednesday. Asefo alleged that the decision to extend the industrial action after 6 months was easy for ASUU because they keep employment at various private universities around the country. The Students' Union called on state government to forthwith liaise with vice-chancellors of state institutions to announce the resumption of academic activities and grant the vice-chancellors authority to enforce the resumption, as state universities should never have joined the strike in the first place. The NAN's president urged ASUU leadership in state institutions to toe the path of honor and call off the strike. Ondo Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has picked holes in the pipeline protection contract awarded to private organizations linked to former MEND leader, Government Ekpemupolo, aka Tompolo. Akeredolu stated that the engagement of private organizations to handle serious security challenges reinforced the belief that the whole defense architecture in the country needs an urgent overhaul. The Ondo governor, in a statement he personally signed, wondered why the federal government, through the Office of the National Security Advisor, has been consistent in its refusal to accede to the request by some states in the Federation to strengthen the complementary initiatives adopted to protect lives and property. Akeredolu said it was safe to conclude that the federal government has impliedly permitted non-state actors to bear heavy assault weapons while denying same privilege to the states, the federation units. The Director General Sanwo-Olu Ambassadors Hajiya Tai Elemosho Okesanjo has reinforced the need for all residents in Lagos State to cast their vote for the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's second-term bid. Speaking at the inauguration of LGA and LCDA officers of the group on Wednesday, Hajiya Okesanjo maintained that the track records of Governor Sanwo-Olu has made him a candidate to beat. Correspondent Abiola Ismail completes the story.
The inauguration of the local government area and local council development area officers in Lagos was not only a carnival-like, but an assurance that the ruling party All Progressive Congress APC has a better candidate in Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for the governorship election.
Because you have been charged, it is sellable to the public. We are assuring you, we are paying you visits, and we are doing it together. Coordinators of Sanwo-Olu Ambassadors.
The group says the Sanwo-Olu Ambassadors group was formed on the pedestal of absolute love for Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu due to his record of monumental achievements in virtually all spheres of governance. The Director General, Hajiya Tai Elemosho Okesanjo, explained that the group's plan have been structured by buying wholeheartedly into the team agenda of the governor, and as such, it shall be going from house to house to tell the households on the strong need to re-elect the governor, as it has started doing by visiting corporate organizations and individuals with the selling agenda. She urged all the ambassadors to go out and continue with the sensitization process in such a manner that will bring resounding electoral success to the principal in particular and all APC flag bearers in general at the forthcoming election.
We created this platform, Sanwo-Olu Ambassadors, in order to help our principal, Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. We know that he has been doing so much for the past 3.5 years that he's been elected. And we can't just fold our arms. All of us cannot fold our arms. He's our friend, he's our brother. And in 2019, we did the same, though not this kind of magnitude of going to the roads, going to the street, going to the markets, forming a group to campaign for him. But this time around, we want him to win massively. We want him to win the election, 2023 election massively. That is why we gathered ourselves together, formed Sanwo-Olu Ambassadors, so that we can assist in campaigning for him.
On his part, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Housing, Ayodeji Amodu, maintained that the track records of the governor in infrastructural development will no doubt give him a resounding victory in 2023 governorship election.
Mr. Governor, in his magnanimity, in his focus, has done a lot. As we can all see, like he used to say, you cannot pretend to not to hear what we have done, but you cannot also pretend not to say you have not seen what we are doing in Lagos State. My principal, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, is a very focused governor. He premised his development in Lagos State on the team's agenda.
Some of the ambassadors who spoke with Mitv News promised to mobilize en masse for the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's re-election in 2023 in all their respective local government areas.
You know, it's women that used to go out and canvass. We are always a mobilizer. So I will just employ every woman to please, they should take up their voters card to vote for Sanwo-Olu when it's the right time for us to vote for him. And for us to go out and hunt, because for now we are an hunter. We are an hunter for Sanwo-Olu under grassroots. We need to go in and out of people to converse them and to change their minds towards our oppositions. So
we are going to see a very good turnaround in the history of election in Lagos State, because this time around, every nooks and corner that need to be touched had been touched, and there are going to be a very great outcome in the election results.
Certificates were also issued to the ambassadors and other officers in all the 57 local government areas and local council development areas in the state. Sanwo-Olu ambassadors says Greater Lagos assured. Abiola Ismail, MITV News.
The Lagos state government says it has directed law enforcement agencies and security personnel to ensure the total compliance of Okada riders and further ban of their operations in 4 local governments and 6 local council development areas of the state, with effect from 1st of September 2022. Speaking at a press briefing organized by the Interministerial Committee on Okada Ban at Press Center Lausa Ikeja, the Commissioner for Transportation, Frederick Oladende, re-emphasized the need for total compliance by riders for the security and safety of lives of residents. He said the Lagos state government had put in place various interventions in the state to ease the inconveniences that the development might bring on the people, adding that there was need to obey the Lagos state traffic law, as both the rider and passenger would be penalized.
The decisions and position of government on Okada is very clear, and we are not compromising on the decision, which is to further consolidate on the achievements made so far, with particular reference to decrease in accident and crime rate, as well as the return of sanity to our community within the state. Permit me to also remind you that the state government has directed the Nigerian police force and the Lagos Command with all relevant stakeholders. This includes the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and other security and law enforcement formations within the state to be complemented by the anti-Okada squad. These people will be deployed to these new locations in a bid to stimulate seamless implementation and enforcement of the Phase 2 ban of Okada operation in the state. For the general public to comply, both the riders and passengers are both liable to 3 years imprisonment if caught, and that bike will be confiscated. We will crush that bike, and the whole public will see the crushing process.
In another development, the Lagos state government has said that Alimosho local government has the highest number of domestic violence in the state. Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Moyosore Onigbanjo-San said the state recorded 4,860 cases of domestic violence involving adults and children from September 1, 2021 to 2022. The Commissioner gave the data at a media parley on Wednesday to commemorate this year's Domestic and Sexual Violence Awareness Month, organized by the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, which begins in September. He said other local governments with highest cases include Ikorodu, Koshofe, Etiosa, Oshodi Salo, and Ifakojaye. This year's Awareness Month is themed It's on Us, and as part of activities to commemorate the month, Onigbanjo said the agency will embark on a walk tagged 10 Alausa Purple advocacy walk against domestic and sexual violence.
It provides an opportunity for survivors and third parties to report cases of domestic and sexual violence, and these reported cases are tackled swiftly with the needed expertise and privacy through the teamwork of various ministries and departments, partner agencies, gender-based violence case managers, the Nigerian police, NGOs, psychologists, rescue teams, social welfare workers, healthcare workers, and the judiciary. A total of 1,578 children have experienced emotional abuse. These children have been exposed to domestic violence within the home. 55% of these children have been taken through counseling programs to ensure that they are able to psychologically deal with the events they have witnessed without it having a permanent and...
Still in the southwest, where the federal government has partnered the Ogun State government to empower 2,000 youth through technical and vocational training in 16 different skills, which include information communication technology, building and construction, among others, through the T-Max program. This, according to the Special Advisor to President Buhari on Education Interventions, Fela Bank Olemo, is part of the ongoing efforts towards taking about 100 million Nigerian youth out of poverty, create employment and manpower for critical development. Receiving the team on behalf of the Ogun State Governor, Dr. Abiodun, the Deputy Governor, Noimot Salakoyi-Dele, commended the federal government for considering the state as one of the 7 pilot states, just as he admonished youth from the state to take full advantage of the program. 7 states, which include Lagos, Ogun, Edo, among others, are to benefit from the first phase of the program, with 15,000 youths being targeted.
Who add value, who train people, who place them, and Ogun State and Nigeria in general, in Ogun State in particular.
Now, this intervention from the federal government is very welcome, as it complements all the efforts that we have put into this space. Late in 2020, the Ogun State government also created an Ogun State Youth Empowerment Scheme, OGES, in which we are also training our youth, and the Special Advisor has alluded to that in his remarks. So this is an extra step for us, which we're very happy and pleased that Ogun State is one of the pilot states to carry out this project, and you can be sure that you get all the support from this government to make sure that this pilot 3-month scheme is a success. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been told that the project
is that we know we are going to have more than enough people. We're only training 2,000 people in Ogun State, but the earlier you register, the better for you. And training also starts in September. I mean, residents of Ogun State. If you're a resident in Ogun State, you know you have the time to learn, and you are committed to learning, because it's going to be very thorough training. If you don't take it serious, you will be asked to leave the training. So because you've been picked, doesn't mean you're going to finish it. You have to take it very serious, go through the process, and pass the tests that are going to be shown. And once you do that, you're eligible to be part of it. You're in Ogun State, you have the time, you want to learn.
The media and civil society groups have a critical role to play in ensuring social inclusion ahead of the 2023 general elections by forming a united and formidable front for the voiceless in the society. Similarly, the media needs to play a critical role in agenda setting for good political environment and governance by providing a platform to engage politicians and political parties on their anti-corruption drive. These, among others, came to the front burner at the capacity building workshop for civil society organizations and media executives with the theme, Corruption, Election, and the Troubled Democracy, the Role of Media and CSOs, by the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACOL, in Lagos. The chairman of CACOL, Debo Adeniro, said social inclusion and how to fight corruption have become imperative in the polity ahead of the 2022 elections, pointing out that several youth and women were excluded from the political process. The executive director of Journalists for Democratic Rights, Wale Adeoye, tasked the media not to relent in setting political agenda as communication is key in governance.
The media space is being dominated by highbrow political class. The media space is being manipulated by the rich, by ethnic majority, by religious majority, and the fiscally able to the disadvantage of those that are vulnerable. The media should realize that there are political minorities whose views needed to be heard to enrich the political discourse. In recent events, the media has focused strongly on its own understanding of big issues, mainly reflecting the opinion of influential politicians.
We have to, in order for us to have moral, what do you call it now? Courage to raise questions. We have to make deliberate effort to ram it down their throats that, look, there should be an agenda for anti-corruption exercises if eventually you win election, and you have to show it to us. The same thing with social inclusion. Everybody must be carried along.
This kind of initiative undertaken by CACO is essential and very valuable to build citizens' consciousness, especially the media and civil society. You would agree that the media and civil society are the cornerstones of democracy, and their importance in every democracy and society cannot be overemphasized or underestimated.
You're still watching the primetime news on MITV. We'll take a break to bring you foreign stories.
3, 2, 1. Here we go! Getting free premium television is as easy as 1, 2, free. 1. Make sure you purchase any free-to-air decoder or satellite receiver. If you already have one and any dish, you are good to go. 2. Enter the settings on your decoder or go to our website to learn how. And free. Scroll through and find Premium Free Bouquet. It's that easy. 25 channels with access to 200 more. Free forever. No cost, no subscription, 100% free. Take the next step. 1, 2, free, and just watch. Start watching Premium Free today. Why pay? Just watch.
You're welcome back. Russia has completely halted gas supplies to Europe via a major pipeline, saying repairs are needed. The Russian state-owned energy giant Gazprom said the restrictions on the Nord Stream 1 pipeline would last for the next 3 days. Russia has already significantly reduced gas exports via the pipeline. It also rejects accusations of using energy supplies as a way to punish Western nations for imposing sanctions over the invasion of Ukraine. The Nord Stream 1 pipeline stretches 1,200 kilometers under the Baltic Sea from the Russian coast near St. Petersburg to northeastern Germany. The Taliban have celebrated the first anniversary of the withdrawal of US-led forces from Afghanistan with a military parade showcasing equipment left behind by foreign troops and calls for their government to be accepted as legitimate internationally. Fireworks lit up the sky over Kabul on Tuesday night on the anniversary of the withdrawal, and Wednesday was also a public holiday with small celebrations across Kabul, including parades by Taliban forces. The U.S. withdrawal completed a minute before midnight on August 30, 2021. It came as the Taliban swept to power after a 20-year war against U.S.-led forces who invaded Afghanistan following the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. U.S. Department of Justice officials have said that former President Donald Trump may have concealed documents during an FBI search of his property in June. In a court ruling, the department said efforts were likely taken to obstruct the government's investigation. The alleged agents were explicitly prohibited from searching a storage room at Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago mansion. Officials said other records were likely concealed and removed from a storage room. The United Nations has appealed for $160 million to help Pakistan following epical rains and flooding that have killed more than 1,100 people, affected 33 million others, and destroyed homes, businesses, infrastructure, and crops. Torrential rain has triggered flash floods that have crashed down from northern mountains, wrecking buildings and bridges and washing away roads and crops. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said in a video message to launch the appeal in Islamabad and Geneva that Pakistan is awash in suffering. We'll take another break to bring you sports stories. Welcome back, and now to sports stories. Head coach of the Super Falcons, Randy Waldrum, has selected 4 players from Nigeria's under-20 girls that reached the quarterfinals at the just concluded FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in Costa Rica. The Super Falcons of Nigeria have arrived in Kansas City, United States, for their double-header friendly with the United States women's national team. The Super Falcons will play the first of their 2-match tour at the Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City on Saturday, September 3rd, and both teams will clash again at the Audi Field in Washington, D.C., 3 days after. Nigeria and the U.S. women's team have qualified for the FIFA Women's World Cup, which will be hosted by Australia and New Zealand between July and August 2023. Chelsea have completed the signing of French centre-back Wesley Fofana from Leicester City on a 7-year deal for £70 million plus add-ons. Fofana joined Leicester from French side Saint-Etienne in 2020 and has since made 37 Premier League appearances. He was restricted to just 7 league games during the 2021-2022 campaign after breaking his leg in a pre-season friendly against Villarreal. Even with any potential add-on payments, the deal for the 21-year-old does not exceed the £80 million that Manchester United paid Leicester for Harry Maguire in 2019, still a world record for a defender. And that brings us to the end of the primetime news on MITV. But before we leave, let's take a look at the stories that made the headlines. We told you that the federal government has summoned vice chancellors and university councils over ASUU strike. And also that Governor Akeredolu faults pipeline contract award to Tom Polo. And from the foreign scene, we told you that Russia shuts its major gas pipeline to Europe. And in sport, Chelsea signs Wesley Fofana from Leicester for £70 million. Thank you for staying with us on the Primetime News. I am Jumoke Michaels. Good night.